And it's 2 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and roll on with our briefing here. So the key messages that we have to pass on are that the tropics remain largely inactive, which is a good thing. Warm and dry conditions are going to persist through the next week. We're not expecting any rainfall all the way through next Thursday. And because of that, drought conditions are expanding across the area. The abnormally dry area has expanded to cover most of the South Mississippi and Southeast Louisiana. And it looks like we're going to have some minor coastal flooding impacts potentially, especially in Hancock County for east-facing shores this weekend. Right now, we're only expecting minor flooding of up to a foot above ground level, but it has a high probability of occurrence right now based off what we're looking at. Generally, that would be during high tide between 2 and 6 a.m. So some of those more prone low-lying roads there in Hancock County for Hootie. In particular, listen, you guys will have to keep an eye out on those, especially like Shoreline Park area and stuff like that, where it's a little more prone to seeing some flooding issues. Here's the tropical weather outlook. As you can see, we do have a big yellow blob out there for a system that's moving off the Atlantic, but right now that's not a concern for us over the next 7 days. That's something we'll keep an eye on. But right now with the pattern that we're in, looks like anything it would shift out towards the Atlantic with this, these series of fronts and this big trough over the eastern part of the country. Here's the 8 to 14 day outlook. And the biggest thing, like I talked about before, is that these hot and dry conditions are going to continue. And even looking out through 2 weeks, it looks like the above normal temperatures are going to persist. It's a pretty decent probability, about 60 to 70% chance over the next 2 weeks of seeing above normal temperatures. The good news is with the low humidity, that's going to keep our heat index values well below any advisory thresholds. The heat index values are going to be generally in the 95 to 100 degree range. So not anything that's going to cause opening of cooling centers or anything like that, but continue, especially with the health departments or anything like that, messaging that, heat impacts still exist, even though we're in the middle of September. As far as rainfall goes, overall, there's about equal chances of rainfall being near average. It's above normal, below normal, it's about equal chances. So typically the CPC folks say that's near average. Yeah, like so but in the pattern that we're in, I wouldn't be shocked if we actually lean a little bit below, but this is the official forecast right now. And the main concern is that we're going to continue to see our drought conditions expand. I didn't zoom in, I could have, but basically the trend is that the abnormally dry conditions are expanding across Mississippi, especially coastal Mississippi went from none to abnormally dry in this last update. And in Southeast Louisiana, more of the North Shore was covered. And we expect to see these conditions continue to expand over the next week, given the dry conditions that we have. So that's something that we'll have to deal with, especially from agricultural concerns over the next 2 weeks or so. So that's it as far as our update goes. Really, the biggest stuff is tropics are quiet. It's warm and dry. The drought conditions are expanding, and we'll have to keep an eye out for any minor coastal flooding that could impact Hancock County, especially this weekend during high tide.